raise your hands if you've heard of the Coding Academy at SCF. Yes, yes. So you may be saying, well, Desh, what happened to the Coding Academy? We expanded. Thanks to the wonderful leadership of our President Emeritus, Dr. Carol Prostville, and now to our current president, Tommy Gregory. We are excited to offer not just industry certifications. Like, that's probably how you knew the Coding Academy. You knew about us because we offered industry certs as an alternative pathway to careers in IT. What State College of Florida realized is that there was a gap. There was a gap between those folks who may already have a degree but want to transition to careers in IT, and those folks who really didn't need a degree to have a career in IT. So thus, the Coding Academy was born. I was brought in to build it up from scratch, turn it into a sustainable operation, and go on to do many more great things for Sarasota and Manatee County residents, as well as SCF students. But it's not just me by myself at the Advanced Technology Center. We also have Liz Grew, who is part of our K-12 team. Liz, raise your hand, yes. And we also have Neil Keith, who is our Business Development Coordinator. Everybody give a round of applause for Liz and Neil, simply because they have to work for me. For those of you that have worked with me in the past, you know we go a mile a minute. And Heather's nodding out there. We go a mile a minute. We always have great ideas, and innovation precedes us. And the goal is to really stay abreast of what's out there as far as emerging technologies. And things are changing quickly. In fact, they are flopping, from what I heard earlier from Joshua, that things are really moving fast. Quantum engineering and quantum computing is at our doorstep, and therefore we know that jobs are going to change. I think you guys kind of recognize before, back in the day, we would say, opportunity knocks. Raise your hand if you've heard that saying, opportunity knocks, right? Today, opportunity does not knock. If anything, it might ring a doorbell, but more so, it is ringing and streaming and watching and waiting for you to have access to it. And if you do not have access to the opportunity that comes your way, it will move on. And when it moves on, it will probably change on you. So the goal of our conversation now is to talk about what we need to do in terms of economic mobility, especially for underserved, underrepresented. I think the term we're using now is vulnerable, the vulnerable populations. What can we do to help ensure that our vulnerable populations are not missing out when opportunity comes? And as we know, opportunity is here. And the reason why opportunity is here is because of broadband. At the heart of the opportunity shift is a universal broadband access. Reliable high-speed internet is no longer a luxury. Just like we sit here with electricity and water and septic systems, we also need broadband access as a means for everyone to receive. It's a necessity. It determines who has access to their email, their banking account, job postings, remote work, education in many ways. It's all about participating in an increasingly digital economy. And without access to broadband, it threatens your livelihood, especially for those that are vulnerable. So when you look at the picture posted, in the far left-hand column, the picture that has the retail store, this is a picture that reminds me of when I walked into an airport. I'd just gotten off my flight. I was dehydrated. I wanted some snacks. I do call Reese's Peanut Butter Cups snacks. I wanted a bottle of water, and I wanted chips. I walked in very intent on getting my items, checking out, and returning back for my next flight because I had a layover. I walked into the store. I started picking up my items. I turned around to check out, and there was no one there. There was literally no one else in the store except me and this kid that had on headphones who walked in, got his stuff, and walked out. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh. Have any of you experienced that? Or you walk into that store, okay, thank you. And I thought to myself, what am I supposed to be doing? There was a camera in the corner of the room, and I looked up at that camera and I thought, they're trying to set me up. Somebody is trying to set me up. Another lady walks in, she takes out her credit card, she puts it on top of a little kiosk-looking thing. She goes in, she starts checking out. I was like, oh, I'm supposed to pay with my credit card. It's not only cashless, it's personless, right? There's no one here to tell me what I'm supposed to do. I had that sudden empathy for people that I talked to at State College of Florida in the Advanced Technology Center. I had that empathy of, I don't know what to do in order to get what I want to go where I need to be on time. That was that story. The other story was when Hurricane Helene and then Hurricane Milton hit back to back. And I, Desh Bagley, beta tester for OpenAI, iPhone 16 Pro Plus, had no internet. Not only did I have no internet, I had no 5G, 4G, or LTE. I had nothing. And when I tell you that I felt vulnerable, and I felt out of control, and I felt lost, and my friends were like, okay, we don't know what's happening with her, because this is what I could see. I could see the header of a message, but I could not see the rest of the message. And everybody in Texas is like, well, how's she doing? And everybody in Louisiana is like, we haven't heard from her, Sha, right? We just don't know. We don't know what's going on in Florida. We told her she should have evacuated. Well, what they didn't know was I couldn't evacuate because my car had no gas. Because that's the way I roll, unfortunately. That's the way I roll. So the idea of these images where the person is working remotely and someone is using telehealth because they have no access to transportation and this is the only way they're going to get their health care needs, where the educator is in the classroom showing the students how to use virtual reality to control the robot, and this school has the bandwidth to do those types of hands-on and engaging activities, but yet a few schools down the way don't have that type of capability because they don't have broadband capability. They have a textbook, whereas a child is supposed to read what's supposed to happen. There's differences, and there's differences in livelihoods. Now, I'm not trying to say that simply having broadband access will allow us to cure all of the ills. I was sitting in on the conversation with Dr. Stryker and Patrice, and they explained it beautifully, where they talked about the fact that literacy is also a barrier to economic mobility. Digital literacy, the availability, the affordability, and understanding how to use your digital devices. Once community members have broadband access, digital literacy training is crucial. I completely understand that by simply being able to get your 5G or your 500 megabits per minute from Spectrum is nice, but we need to have more digital navigators in our communities to help people who don't have access to training. And if we don't have digital navigators in the community, we need access to resources in which people can gain training for low or reduced cost. We're happy to say at State College of Florida, we do work with CareerSource, we work with the Women's Resource Center, and we work with the Patterson Foundation and a number of other organizations to help individuals in our society that we call the vulnerable populations gain what they need. Especially unique in our community is the ALICE population, asset limited, income constrained, employed women who still find themselves looking for ways to take care of their children and take care of their households. These are individuals who work, but they struggle financially due to limited savings or high living costs. What you're looking at on this screen is what we're already doing. This is current day. Current day, we're helping women gain the skills to be robot technicians. We have amazing manufacturers in our community. We work with SAMA, Sarasota and Manatee Area Manufacturers. We work with BAMA, the Bay Area Manufacturers Association. And we help women who are interested in gaining more money and living in our neighborhood. We call it high skills, high wage, gain more skills, earn more money. We help them get jobs like this. So there's the woman who has her laptop and she's a robotics technician. There's the classroom teacher, because in our state, we need more computer science teachers. So how can we help women who have a technical bent become educators in computer science? We have a technician, a computer technician. I know when people are like, Desh, I don't know anything about working with computers. I don't know my RAM from my hard drive, from my input to my output. That's what we are here for. That's what so many of us are in our community for, is to help you who are highly motivated earn the skills you need for the job you want. The lady with the headset, her job is so many things. Right now, that job is drone operator. Have any of you started to see the drones delivering packages to your neighborhoods? Have you seen the drones in the Walmart parking lots ready to take off and go someplace to deliver? Those jobs exist now. Those jobs exist today. And of course, cybersecurity. And I always know somebody is watching. There's somebody behind the cameras always watching. I think we heard that last night as well, that somebody's always watching. So the lady with the red hair on the computer, she's the one watching everybody. Yeah. So right now, there are some in-demand skills: cybersecurity, cloud computing, software development, AI, and data analysis. All of those skills can help with economic mobility for vulnerable populations, as long as they have access to training. We have no problems with that. What we have the problem with is the imposter syndrome. The person who was recently incarcerated and now they're out and they're wondering, can I get a job in this community? The single mother with 5 kids, and yes, she has a computer science degree, but it's been so long since she's used it. Can she become an entrepreneur and put her skills to work? We have the low-income populations, where literally day to day to day to day, it's a matter of, can I get gas or can I get my kids those school pictures that they say they want? It's a choice. Can I pay my light bill or can I get my medications? The wonderful thing about my talk right now, I will tell y'all, I'm really just summarizing everything that everybody's been saying all morning long, right? So we've been sitting in our breakout groups and we heard some great speakers this morning. So I just get the wonderful task of repeating all of it, which is wonderful, right? Just to bring it back to mind. These are some of the barriers that we're working with. We have vulnerable populations. Lots of us don't have access to broadband, especially not in crisis situations. And then we feel lost. So what is economic mobility anyway? What is it? Is it simply just education and skills? Education and or skills? Possibly. And that includes K through 12 education. That includes our little babies when they're starting in pre-K and not quite understanding what they're looking at. It starts with them. I know they can do this. You've all seen the 2-year-old do this, right? I know they can do that. But are they able to really start to internalize the fact that they one day may be the makers of that content? 4 years old, what do you want to be when you grow up? A fireman. What do you want to be when you grow up? A football player. What do you want to be when you grow up? An AI content developer. That's where we're headed. That's what we want to think about. The idea that different careers will exist 5 years from now that are unlike the careers that we see now. Economic mobility means social networking, where Joshua from the Sarasota EDC invites me into his community to talk. And then Heather, who does all things everywhere, invites me into her community to talk. It's the idea that you look at someone else who needs the opportunity to gain capital, to gain influence, to gain experience, and you invite them into your network. I don't even know Miss Howard, but I'm sure she has a network for me to get into. You talk to people so that they can then help you with your own economic mobility. Many of our people are not ready to go into those social networks. There's an imposter syndrome that's happening. And so those of us that feel mostly confident with our braided red hair, stepping in front of a group, we invite everyone else to come and join us. Access to capital is economic mobility. Without access to capital, there are some entrepreneurial ideas that will never come to fruition. I started a company called Tech Play Zone in 2005. Tech Play Zone was for kindergartners to become coders. And people said, Tech Play Zone, kindergarten, coders, what are you talking about, 2005? 2025, 5 different franchises. iCode, Coder School, iTech, Tech Here, Code Ninjas. And my husband was like, you're just ahead of your time. I said, I always am. I always am ahead of my time. Access to capital is what's needed. And by the way, you guys, it wasn't a lack of capital for me. I had 5 kids. So there were some choices that had to be made, right? When I started the company, 9, 7, 5, 2, and 1 in the womb. Like I was pregnant when I started Tech Play Zone. Deshara was born in 2006. So there are different reasons why the entrepreneurs that have all the great ideas may not come from those vulnerable populations. And I dare say it's us. We need to help bring people with good ideas to the forefront. And finally, public policies. A lot has to happen, but there are some sincere governmental groups, some chambers of commerces, the Patterson Foundation, the nonprofits. All of those groups have to come together to facilitate economic mobility. This includes tax policies, social safety nets, education funding, housing policies, minimum wage laws, healthcare access, and other regulations that affect economic mobility and outcomes across different segments of society. It starts with a lot of things, and they all come together to make it better for everyone. But then we hit a crisis, a pandemic, a hurricane, wind damage, flood damage, tariffs, dare say tariffs. And we start to look even closely because economic mobility doesn't just bother the vulnerable groups. It's gonna start to bother us as well. So, I am going to do a hands-on demonstration, and the AV guys back there are going to help me in just a few moments. And they're going to, I'm going to talk about this slide, and then we're going to do a hands-on demonstration. And like always, I like to throw caution to the wind. So I'm going to ask you guys to bear with me, because what we have to do after I talk about this slide is we're going to switch from my slide to the internet. And then I would like to give a demonstration of how AI can be used. Can I see a show of hands again of how many of you have never, ever, ever touched a generative artificial AI model? Generative, so ChatGPT, nobody's used ChatGPT, DALL-E, Claude, okay, all right, very good. So most of you have, so that's good, that means I'm in friendly company, but some of you have not, and I just want to show you a few things. But on this slide, this AI model training process. This is the process that will create in entrepreneurs within the next 6 months. Because it is open access now, it doesn't cost a whole lot to train an AI model. Nonprofits can train AI models. Manufacturers can train AI models. Hospitality, retailers, restaurants, anyone can train their own AI model. It simply starts with data. If you have the data that you've been collecting for years and years and years, some entrepreneur will come to you, her name might be Desh, don't tell President Gregory, and say to you, I am interested in creating my own. Some entrepreneur may come to you and say, I'm interested in helping you create your own model so that you don't have to rely on Google's model or IBM's model or Microsoft's OpenAI model or Amazon's Anthropic model. I am interested in helping you create your own model for the YMCA, for the EDC. But we need your data. And that entrepreneur will then clean up your data, ask you a ton of questions about what types of results are you hoping to see, what are the best practices, and then they will take your data, choose a specific training technique, and they will begin to train an AI model based on your data. Then they are probably going to hire some subcontractors to come in and train on the data, ask all sorts of questions, put in some different details, and start to see if that is garbage in, garbage out, or if it really gives us the results that we're looking for. This AI training model with the validation and the testing is not hard. And I know you guys might be thinking, oh, Desh, surely it's easier, surely it's difficult, surely it's not as simple as you're saying. And I'm trying to tell you that right now, it is not difficult. And entrepreneurs will start to do it. And I'll show you how they're starting to do it now. All right, so that was that slide. And are we ready to move on over? Yes, let's move. Ooh. Okay, here's the first test. The first test is, does the mouse work? Everybody clap, the mouse works. Yes. And then the second test is, can I type in? Yes, I'm typing Fs. It's a little slow, it's a little delayed, but it works. Round of applause for the keyboard. Yes. All right. This particular AI is called Claude. Claude.ai. It's made by Anthropic. It's sponsored by Amazon. The reason why I enjoy using Claude versus ChatGPT or Genesis by Google is because, for me, it has helped give me a much clearer, much more accurate representation of the types of results I'm looking for. So the very first thing I might ask Claude in regards to economic mobility is simply, what is economic mobility? And if I have typos in there, don't worry about it quite so much, because Claude understands. He understands that. And so Claude says economic mobility has some key aspects. Intergenerational mobility. That simply means somebody's passing money down to their kids, right? And then the extra generational, an individual is able to donate due to an economic ladder. Then there's absolute mobility and upward mobility and downward mobility, and some of it has to do with social capital and networks. We talked about that, and labor market conditions. And there might be some discrimination and systemic barriers we might have to be aware of. Claude hasn't gotten the DEI notice yet. I'm sure it's coming. It might be coming, right? Of my vulnerable population folks live. What jobs should we prepare for as blue-collar workers in, and I'm going to say 2035? 10 years from now. Of course, mind you, AI can be wrong, right? So I'm not saying that this is 100% accurate. It can be wrong, but it gets me to thinking. There's going to be some renewable energy technicians, the folks who are all about looking at our infrastructure to make sure that when a hurricane comes at 140 per hour winds, I don't have to lose electricity every single time. We have to have some techniques in there, some infrastructure changes. There are going to be some healthcare support specialists. With an aging population, roles like advanced home health aides and medical device technicians will be in high demand. I dare say some entrepreneur will say, well, why does that have to be a person? Can that be a machine? Can that be AI? Can that be something that knows my mom or dad better than I do? Because the machine is actually learning about your parent. Cameras all around the house, seeing how your loved one integrates. When do they go to the restroom? When are they eating? When are they exercising? When are they taking their medication? Don't take your medication now, Mrs. Jones. You took that 2 hours ago. Because the machine is there all the time, watching. What I really want people to start looking toward the future and seeing is that the jobs that we have now can be automated. And if the jobs that we have now can be automated, what skills do we need to learn for automation? And that's what we have to talk to our school districts about and our nonprofits about. We have to say, if my job gets automated because of AI, because the flops are so cheap, where do we go from here? I have a character AI that I talk to, and I get it to ask me questions. And I ask it questions. So we're gonna pull up my character AI. You guys are gonna ask me questions, and I'm gonna let myself answer you. And then the next question was, what is character AI? What is character AI?
Broadband access refers to the availability and quality of high-speed internet access for individuals and communities. Broadband connectivity is essential for modern life as it enables faster and more reliable access to online resources, including educational materials, entertainment, and communication tools.
How do we handle economic mobility for vulnerable populations?
Economic mobility for vulnerable populations can be improved through a variety of policies and initiatives, including 1, increasing access to quality education and training programs, providing vulnerable populations with educational opportunities, training programs, and skill development resources can help.
All right, she's just gonna tell you everything I already done told you, right? So we're gonna stop right there. I will say I use character AI to brainstorm with myself when I'm in the car. I'd like to start a new program working with teachers. What ideas do you have for helping teachers? Helping teachers is a great idea, Desh. So it'll just start talking back to me. I use character AI to help me understand my budget. I want to make 30% more on the camps that we ran. What do you think we need to do? Well, Desh, if you start with reducing staff and increasing the number of students, well, duh, I know that. Anything innovative, right? And so I use AI in a number of ways. I hope you will too. And I hope you will also start to think to yourself, what can we do now for the students who are freshmen in high school right now? They're going to be graduating from college in 2035. What can we do to help them so that they have economic mobility, even if they're coming from vulnerable populations? Thank you guys very much.